Greetings, Cowann here, and you just stepped into another episode of Cowann's Corner. Alright, so if I'm completely honest, I had no intention on recording another episode quite so soon. I just dropped one a couple days ago. But circumstances and situations have arisen. Some things come up that have made it so that I said, let me go ahead and check in a little bit quicker than before. So my thought is that I wanted to share with you guys kind of some reflections or some responses to the recent op-ed that I mentioned that I dropped during the last video. I was really excited about it. I was able to talk about ideological tribalism, dropped a whole video on that, so go back to my channel and check that out if you haven't already. But I had an op-ed that was published in the Courier-Journal. I was really excited about it, that talked about the recent events in Louisville where 6 people were shot, 6 young people at a party. And I just talked about how important it is for us to be mindful of kind of the dangers of having this ideological tribalism, that we have a tendency to kind of look at things in silos. We have a tendency to be divided and to just not look at each other as human. And that's pretty much me summarizing this 20-minute video and the 560 something word op-ed that I presented. So my point being that sometimes the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So if I can give you any advice, it is do not read the comment section. Not of necessarily this video or just in general. That's just kind of a general statement. I'm not going to say literally don't ever read the comment section. But regardless of how well-intended you can be at times, there's almost always, and I don't like to get into absolutes, so I won't say always, but there's often somebody, even when you're well-intended, that has something to say. And it is my honest opinion that what other people think is about me isn't really my business. So let me give a little bit more context. So I go into work the day that I knew that the op-ed was going to drop, and I was expecting an email or something to kind of say, hey, it's dropped. And, they said they were going to tag my Instagram. So hadn't seen any notifications on Instagram, whatever. Cool. It'll drop when it drops. Had a coworker that was so cool as to kind of post it and just let us know, hey, Cowann's article in the Courier-Journal dropped. And I was like, yeah, it's pretty cool. First thing I noticed was that the original title that I had for it had been modified, which it's okay. It's an op-ed. The editor has the right to do such. And I think, of course, probably to make it a little bit more sensationalized, I guess you could say. So my original title was The Price of Division, Our Collective Identity Crisis. So talking about how we have these challenges with kind of picking a side and going with that, and that's kind of the biggest issue, whether we're talking about gun control versus Second Amendment rights, that rather than actually solving issues and solving problems, we as a society have a tendency to kind of just pick a side and argue with that side and lose the humanity of the other side, and that kind of dehumanizes us. So the actual title that the editor decided to go with was Arguing About Gun Violence is Pointless. We must step back and see each other's humanity. I don't have any beef with that title. I feel like it's a bit sensationalized, but it's the newspaper. In black and white, you got to bring attention to things if you want people to read it. It's not the title that I would have picked, but it works. I think the issue with this title, and it's not that I have a problem with it, but the issue is that people see the word gun violence, and for some reason they see arguing about gun violence, and my assumption is that people think that it says arguing about gun control, which is a different topic, arguing about gun violence. So we're talking about the violence that is perpetrated from guns. So I think that, so first of all, I got excited, posted the article, shared it with coworkers and colleagues. I was like, hey, I'm pretty excited about this. This is a pretty centrist, neutral topic. I had my own opinion on things, but the way that I delivered my perspective was not pro-guns, it was not anti-guns, it was not Second Amendment, it was not gun control. It didn't lean on any of those topics specifically. It brought them up and mentioned them, but the whole crux of it, the point of the article, was that we have this tendency to pick a side and go with it, and then we argue and argue and argue, and it's very rarely ever a very fruitful argument. It's just, we have this tendency to just argue for the sake of argument and debating for the sake of debating, but we don't typically come to a resolution. So I was asked to take the article down out of the Teams chat that we have, which not a big deal. Unbeknownst to me, I wasn't really sure why. I was like, well, I guess, they must think that there's something controversial about it. Gun violence, and maybe that could be triggering for some people. No pun intended. But, it's a very serious topic. But I want to, I didn't argue. I was like, okay, cool. I'll go ahead and take it down. I don't want to cause any distractions at work. That's not what we're here for. I was hoping that people would have the opportunity to read it. And a lot of people did before I took it down, and to kind of have a perspective about it. What I was informed later was that there were some people that I guess took issue with the article. I'm not sure if they actually read the article, but I think, again, to my point, they misinterpreted the point of it and kind of made comments to the contrary. Decided, if I'm completely honest, I don't know exactly what the comments were. I'm just made aware that, people, it started a lot of scuttlebutt, so to speak, and a lot of distractions. And I'm like, that's the last thing I want at work. But that led into a conversation where, unbeknownst to me, I didn't realize that the article actually had been uploaded to Instagram. And I had a coworker that informed me that, hey, there's actually a lot of conversation in the comments, and I had to get with people. I had to kind of argue with people. I'm like, well, what were you arguing about? She's like, I was defending you. I was like, defending me from what? And I guess there were comments about people just saying stuff like, oh yeah, so you want to see the humanity in the 16-year-old person that has a gun pointing in your face, and you're going to see the humanity in them. And I guess the point is that they're kind of poo-pooing the idea of the art. The point of the argument that I'm making is that we're not seeing the humanity in each other, and their counter argument is that they fail to see the humanity in the people that don't see the humanity in others. So it's kind of like the idea of fighting fire with fire. That's not the point of this video. It's not to debate or argue with what that person had to say, but it's to say that, as I said a couple minutes ago, if we spend our life in the comments section, and when I say the comment section, I don't mean the literal comment section, but actually absolutely could be, whether it's if you're trying to do something and provide something to the world because you truly and genuinely want to make a positive difference, you want to make an impact, you want to share some knowledge, you want to share some wisdom, there's often going to be somebody who thinks that they're smarter than you, who will find a way to twist your words, who will disagree with you, who would disagree with, even if not in the quality of what you have to say, or in the content of what you have to say, it might be in the delivery or in the quality or in some other aspects of what you had to say, because people just like to argue. And of course, my thought process is, man, it was really, really simple. And this isn't to minimize this, because I feel really good and accomplished about being able to have something published in the newspaper. But the process of getting my op-ed published wasn't that difficult. So if other people have their own opinions that they would like to share, then I would highly suggest them to also submit their opinions in the op-ed. I mean, yes, you can put them in the comments and you can debate with the points, but the thing is, oftentimes people are triggered and sensationalized by titles, by sound bites, and I would venture to say that most people that are trying to argue against you are people that haven't really fully taken the time to hear what you're having to say, to really digest and understand where you're coming from. That's not to say that we can't be wrong. That's not to say that people shouldn't have debates. That's not to say that everything that, for instance, that I put, it should be revered and taken as the gospel. By no means should that ever be the case. But I think we have a tendency to hesitate on putting our voice out there to the world, to sharing our opinions, to being able to let our voice be heard, because we're so consumed with the idea of criticism and what are the naysayers going to say. Brene Brown, who anybody who's known me for 5 minutes will know that she's a fellow social worker and one of my ideological heroes. I've listened to most of her podcasts, read all of her books. A lot of the things that I say, let me go ahead and cite the source now. It is in some way, shape, or form kind of sort of shaped by something that I've heard from Brene. Well, if you go to her YouTube TED Talk about shame, then she talks about the Theodore Roosevelt quote, the man in the arena. And it talks about how there's often going to be people in the arena that are going to judge you and jeer you, and you're going to be so hesitant to want to put yourself out there because of the criticism that you're going to face from other people. But oftentimes it's ourselves that is our own biggest critic. So the point of what I'm hoping to get across today is, please don't limit yourself from being able to put the effort to do good, to make a difference in the world, to have a positive impact. If you have something of value to say, then by all means, put it out there, say it, share it with the world. You might not be able to deliver it in a perfect way, in the same way that I'm recording this video at 12:37 a.m. on a night that I have to go to work in the morning. But it just felt important. This was heavy on my chest, and I wanted to just kind of put it out there that I want to encourage and inspire you guys. Don't live in the comments section, because there's always going to be haters that are going to hate, because that's what they do. Because rather than submitting their own op-eds and their own opinions, they're going to criticize you for what it is that you try to say when you're trying to do good in the world. Regardless of the fact that you're saying, and when I say you, I'm really talking about me in this particular instance, you're trying to deliver a point, trying to say that we need to look at each other as humans. And if anyone can find fault in that argument that we should do a better job as humans in respecting the value of human life and not being so divided, then I don't understand. Again, you don't have to agree with everything that I say, but it just blows my mind. But here's the point. There's always going to be somebody that's going to say something. So if I stay stuck on the fact that I'm going to get criticized, and I will, the more videos I put out, the more traction this gets, the more people that might start to garner attention from what it is that I'm saying, I'm going to have more people that are going to disagree, and you will too. I don't think I'm anything special as far as, this is Cowann, you should listen to what he has to say. By any means, this is me being super humble, but by trade, I'm a social worker. And if it's not my job to try to make an impact in the world, if it's not my job to try to make a positive difference, if it's not my job to try to enact change and to inspire and to give some level of positivity, if I'm not intrinsically motivated, if I don't have some level of altruism within my bones that says that you have to do good within the world for the sake of doing good, regardless of what other people have to say about you, then I'm not really much of a social worker. So that's just me very passionately speaking about what it is that I feel like my role is as far as making an impact in the world. And I'm going to still do my damnedest to always try to deliver, to always try to give a good, positive message. And I'm not going to do so by living in the comments section, because somebody's always going to have something to say. Now, the flip side. When people say compliments to you, when people feed you with positivity, you should often take that in stride too. Because if you're working hard at something and somebody's complimenting you, my point isn't to have Teflon skin and to just blow things off and to be completely dismissive. Even if somebody has a criticism, there might be some value in it. but sometimes people are just hateful, and it's so important that we know the difference, that we don't measure our own self-worth based off of other people's opinions. So, I mean, I think that we should hear them. It's like the old Bruce Lee quote, it takes what's useful and discard the rest. You know, there's going to be some merits and some values to the dissensions and the perspectives of others who don't necessarily see things the same way you do. And that's the beauty of the world, because we have to have all of those perspectives. Like, that was the point of the article, wasn't that we should just stop arguing because we should just all kumbaya and get along. The point is that we need to listen to each other. So it's not me saying that you shouldn't have nothing critical to say about me. That's not the point. But if you do, please make sure that you come with it. Please make sure that what you have to say is valuable and it's useful, and it's not just coming from a place of hatefulness. Like, if you don't have a potential solution to offer, or if it's just like an unnecessary critique, then it doesn't hold a whole lot of value to me. I'll never forget, I was on the news it's probably about 7-8 years ago, and my car had just gotten shot up. We lived in an area not far from Churchill Downs, and there was literally a dead body in front of our home, you know, that Friday before. And it was kind of disturbing. There was caution tape coming through our front yard. So that Sunday evening, probably technically Monday morning, around midnight, 1 a.m., I heard gunshots, called 911, and then about 5 minutes later, I hear a knock on my door. And it was police officers, and they were like, "Will you step outside?" I was like, "I prefer not to." But they say, "Sir, is that your red car, that red Impala?" I was like, "Yes, sir. You might want to step outside." I stepped outside, and there was gun holes all throughout my car. My car that had my recently deceased mother's belongings, some clothes and shoes in the trunk. So I guess it must have been closer to 8 years ago. And I was like, why are there bullet holes through my car? I still to this day don't know if it was a mistaken identity, but there was a town hall meeting in my neighborhood. I went to that town hall meeting, and fresh from work, and I got up and I spoke, and I told the neighbors and the people at the town hall meeting that, we need to come together. Gun violence, again, was the topic, and just, crime in general in our neighborhood was starting to kind of get out of hand. And I gave this 5-minute, I jokingly say it was like an I have a dream speech, but the way that I ended the speech was, I said, and I'm pissed off, and we have to have a change. And I slammed my hand on the table and I said, I'm pissed off. And literally I was on the news, and out of all of these articulate 5 minutes of that speech, the only thing that was captured was me slamming my fist on the table and saying, I'm pissed off. In the comment section, there was a lady that said, hey, Big Mouth, if you got so much to say and you're so angry, then why don't you go out in the world and try to make a difference and do something for these kids, Mr. Big Mouth? Now, this lady knew nothing about me. If she knew anything about me, she would have known that I literally came directly from work as a child and family therapist and a mentor working with children. So the irony of her telling me I should do something in the world, although I'm already a social worker, doing my best to do something in the world and make a positive impact, lets me know that yes, everybody can have an opinion and everybody can hop in the comments and everybody can say whatever they want, but people often just say things without having a whole lot of context to it. And that's what, unfortunately, in that situation happened. So my point is that should not deter us from trying to get our points across, from trying to make a positive difference, from trying to, be the best version of yourself and impact the world positively. There's always going to be naysayers and people that don't agree with you, and that's okay. We shouldn't agree with everybody else either. But know that if your heart is in the right place and you're doing your best to try to make a positive impact and a difference, then you should keep doing it, and don't do it for the love of the likes and the comments and the shares and the subscriptions. I don't know that I'll ever have a viral video, but that's not what I'm doing it for. If I have, 5, 10, 50, 100 people that watch this, and if it impacts and touches somebody in a positive kind of way by having Cowann's Corner, awesome. If it does go viral, if it does go big, if I'm able to have a greater impact, of course, that would always be the goal. And it's not because I'm trying to quit my job that I very much love and become a YouTuber, but it's because I would love to be able to impact the world and make a positive difference. So with that, I'm going to continue to drop these videos. I'm going to continue to write op-eds. I'm going to continue to do my research. I'm going to continue to do my best to help people in whatever kind of way I can. I'm going to continue to, hopefully in the future, write some more books. I have Cooking Up Counsel and a Recipe for Peace and Unsavory Times, a book that's available on YouTube. Ding. And I really hope that people do check it out. It's a book that I use a lot of cooking metaphors and analogies to explain what mental health is and the therapy process. And I wrote that book, again, I promise you, the $5 to $8 or whatever kickback I get from Amazon is not making me rich. You know, when 1 or 2 people a month might buy that book, I'm not getting rich off of it. But I do believe that the more people that are able to check it out, the more positivity we'll be able to see, because they'll understand a better idea of, from in very lay terms, you know, what is therapy, what is mental health. All right, I'm starting to get off topic and it's pretty late, so it's probably time for me to hit the stop button. I hope that I've said something that is powerful enough to impact somebody, probably not everybody, but hopefully somebody will get something from this. So I really appreciate you taking the time, as always, to drop by Cowann's Corner. Of course, you can always feel free to like, comment, subscribe. If you do comment, you know, I'm not going to tell you need to be nice, but if you're on that bull, then I'm not going to live in the comment section. So, you know, argue with your mama. Much love to you. Take care.